I'm on a mission right now to systematize my business, and I really want to learn about processes and process management. Why? Because I do not want to be doing the day job. And I thought I'd ask an expert in this, who none other than Kev Blackburn, and he runs a series of prep centers, guess what, called SYSTEMATIZE Fulfillment. And I'm super excited to have him on the show right now to learn about what he does and the way he has scaled his business. And he's an ex-Amazon seller as well. He's going to share all in this interview today. Stay tuned. Okay, so today I'm super excited. Why? Because I'm here with Kev Blackburn, and I've met him actually many times in person. I've been to his operation, and my God, I think he's just opened his third or fourth warehouse in the US, partnering with people in there, and he's run a series of, prep centers for Amazon sellers, and he's an ex-Amazon seller himself. I don't want to introduce him too much, but I'm super excited to learn about systematizing, doing processes, and how to run good operations that allow us as entrepreneurs to grow our businesses. Now, Kev, I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to join me. If anyone doesn't know you, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are?
Thank you so much, Tom, for that introduction. I really appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be back on, and yes, absolute fond memories of you coming to visit us at the warehouse. Yeah, so just a quick introduction to me for those that are watching to provide value to you guys. My name's Kev. We started our journey back in 2015 when I was an electrical engineer. Unfortunately, the business that I was working for was going through difficulty, redundancies, and I was looking for an opportunity. And then I come across e-commerce. At the time, I didn't know about Amazon FBA, but we started selling on eBay through what we call an apprentice challenge. That was essentially, we were started with £10 and who of our family could make the most money. And I ended up turning around about £10 into £45. I won the challenge. It was amazing. But what that did was it opened up the idea of we could actually sell products online. And then somebody, a great friend of mine, was like, have you looked at Amazon FBA? As soon as I learned about Amazon FBA, went absolutely all in. Within about 6 months, we had sold over 6 figures, handed in my notice, quit the job. We then, 6 months later, we moved into our first 2,000 square foot warehouse. This was in 2016, June of 2016. Over a course of 4 years, we had started the YouTube channel. We started evolving our business into wholesale. In 2020, we then moved into this 10,000 square foot warehouse. We've launched SYSTEMATIZE Fulfillment. We have warehouses in the UK, Europe, as well as in the US. We've just opened South Carolina, which is super exciting. And we have a fantastic team, over 100 members of the team across the globe at this point, virtual assistant team. And I always talk about taking massive action. So that is my story, Tom, in a short period.
I absolutely love it. And thank you. Obviously, I know I've met you in person. I've been there as well. I think the key part of today, and the reason why I'm asking to have this conversation with you, and I know we've spoken many times, it's really around systems, processes. For myself, obviously, I've grown 3 companies, 2 to 7 figures on Amazon, and I'm an Amazon seller myself. But and I'm really interested in systems and processes about improving the efficiency of my operation. And I think I talked about before, off air, was that I'm very interested in learning the skill set of business, not just Amazon, should we say, transferable skills. So the question I want to ask you just initially is probably countering to what I'm talking about is why should people care about systems and processes? Why can't we just jump on Amazon and start sourcing deals? Let me ask that question.
Amazing question. For me personally, I actually went through university and I did an electrical engineering degree. And during that education period, I learned a lot on why processes and systems are very important from an engineering perspective. When I came into entrepreneurship and business owner, I very quickly started to see a lot of similarities in terms of why processes and systems are really important. And there's a very simple reason for it. That is because depending on the goal that you have in terms of building your business, there's only so much time in the day. There's only so many people and processes and tasks that you can do yourself. So if you are wanting to build a business at scale, large, then you're going to need to build from a systems mindset and a systems philosophy. Because there's a great quote that I learned from, I believe it was Work the System. And it was to say, we don't manage people, systems manage people and processes. Right? If we just attempt to manage people, you will be forever being busy. And there's only a certain amount of people that you can manage before being overwhelmed if you're trying to micromanage everything. Whereas a system, if you've got one system, that can be followed by a magnitude of people. If you think of Amazon themselves, Jeff Bezos, the founder, he literally has over 1 million employees. There's no way he would be able to manage everybody. So he's got processes and systems that manage everything. So that's why it's so important. And it's also transferable, no matter what business model that you're in, whether it's e-commerce or in a different industry. These are philosophies and principles that are transferable as a business owner.
But let me ask you a question. And I kind of know the answer myself, but I think it's really good for the viewer. A lot of people doing Amazon today are one-man bands. Why should they care about systems? They've got no people to manage. Maybe they might in the future, but right now it doesn't matter. Like, why? Why should they do systems?
It ultimately depends on what the goal is. You know, some people want to just be a one-man band and they want to have a side income. That's absolutely fine. It all depends on ultimately what the vision is. If you want to be able to go from a full-time career into being a full-time business owner, systems is going to be very important because at some point, when the time is right, you're going to want to recruit team members. You're going to want to build a team around you to manage your business. And at that point, it's very, very important that you have processes and systems so that, number one, when you're recruiting team members, we can train, we can share, we can enroll, you can share your core values, your principles, how things go from start to finish. And while you're potentially not in the business, let's say, for example, you go on holiday or you can't work or whatever's occurred, the business can still operate while you're not in it. And that's why systems are very important.
I think it's really, like, if I put it on a very granular level, just for people to understand, let's say, for example, you're doing like sourcing and you're doing storefront stalking, copying someone's storefront. Sure, you can go to someone's storefront right now and just copy them, that's fine. But it might be the case that you've actually developed a way which is a lot more quicker and efficient. It might be that we go to Keeper, Data Finder, we put in like their seller ID, and then we filter them for like buy price or sell price above X price, sales rank below certain things. So we're filtering out a lot of these dead listings that we don't want of the competitor, and then now we're just going to storefront stalk the good deals. And what we've done there is we've built a system which enables us to just identify out of this work what part of the work is the really valuable part, and then we can get to that valuable part as quick as possible through a very good systems process. And I see that in my own business. Like, I'm constantly challenging my sources, like, great, so you've defined how you do storefront stalking, but how do you actually get there much quicker? And I think the question I talk about, like, is crossing the T's and dotting the I's. It's like the little one is like when you're buying something, like, oh man, I forgot to do cashback. That could be 10% you're losing out there. And it's because you have a good system or a process in place which reminds you that you just follow blindly. You don't have to think. You always get the right cashback. And that's 10%, and that adds up. Go on, Kev.
Yeah, sorry. It's a little bit like if you think of IKEA. Somebody buys a wardrobe from IKEA, let's call it. It comes with instructions in terms of step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And at the end of it, like at the start, you've got just basically a box with its components in, and at the end you've got a wardrobe. But if it didn't come with those instructions and they just shipped 1 million of these wardrobes around the world, I would build it different to how you would build it, and then there'd be 1 million different ways that where does this component go and where does that go. And therefore they've got a process in place, they've got an instruction list in place so that everybody achieves the same outcome, the desired outcome that's desired.
Okay, so I just want to take a quick moment out of the interview to say, look, if you're interested in growing your business, $10,000 or pounds extra per month is going to be key, and it's such a good metric to aim for. Now, for me, I've done it in my business. I've grown to over 3 million in the UK and over 1 million in the USA, and we've done it with systems and processes. Now, the one thing I want to share with you is the fact that I've recorded a mini masterclass. It takes 30 minutes, and it's quite simply just going to teach you the step-by-step process you're going to need to know how to grow your business by 10,000 per month using a virtual assistant. Now, if you're interested in watching it, have a look at the link down below. I think you're going to love it. It's going to show you that step-by-step process and how you can do it in just 5 hours per week. Check it out, the link down below. Back to the interview. I think as entrepreneurs, we're inherently creative. We really enjoy the creative element of it. Like, it's fun, it's exciting, we get to play, we get to explore. And I can guess as an entrepreneur, we look at systems and processes and goes, that's corporate, that's boring, I don't want to do that, I'm not staying away. What would you say to someone in that mindset, that belief?
It's an amazing question, because you as the entrepreneur, as the business owner, the chances are you are the visionary. which means that for those that are watching, you are most likely somebody who is creative, somebody who has goals, has ideas, wants to build, amazing businesses. You can see your future and you're inspired by that. You're motivated by that. But there's the other side to it. And the other side is from a management point of view. It's the integrator side of it, which is somebody who the processes, the day-to-day still needs to be managed. The ideas, the visions that you have still need to be integrated and put into reality into the business. This is one of the pitfalls that entrepreneurs have. They call it the shiny object syndrome, because it's like, wow, this is an amazing opportunity. Let's go. Let's take action there. But then after maybe 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, that's got a bit boring now. Okay, this is an amazing opportunity. And I can certainly say that I have been there myself. But for those that are in this position where you do have both, that you have to have both hats on, just know that there is a time when you can start to recruit teams and you can bring somebody in that complements your skill set. So for me personally, in the business that we have, I have a great leadership team and they're all skilled at management. They're all skilled at team management, processes, KPIs, whereas I do have those types of skills myself, but that's not where I want to be. I want to create, I want to build, I want to put the vision in place for the business. So it's one of those things that everybody has to do, but not forever, depending on where you want to position yourself. And it just takes a bit of time to work towards it.
Yeah, I love it. I think on reflection, the thing we talk about is entrepreneurs, we're visionaries. We have an idea of what we want to see and we can do it absolutely fine, but also we get very bored. And at the point is we can create new visions of the future and define it, which is fantastic, but we're really bad at executing it consistently over a long period of time. And the systems enable us to document what we see as a great way of going forward and then giving that vision in a consistent process-driven way to someone else to execute. And in turn, what we are able to do is to build systems which we can build upon, which enable us to achieve the dreams that we want to do. And if you talk about it in Amazon, you might have a system which is sourcing, another system with purchasing, and another system administration. And obviously with Kev, the prep, that's another system, should we say. But all these things layer, which enable us to build, multi-million-dollar companies, which I think is absolutely incredible. So I've talked a little bit about what are systems, what are processes, or why, should we say, and why not. But can you define to me, in your business or the way you operate, what does an actual, let's call it process. What does a process look like? Can you clearly define it? How is it structured? How does it look out? If you're going to go, Tom, here's the process for packing a box or something in your prep center, what would that look like? Tell me about that.
Yeah, great question. So we have to define what is a system, okay? So for me, a system, a definition of a system, it has three components to, if you're thinking about developing any system, it's going to have three components. It's going to have a trigger to the system, what actually tells that system process to start. Then you've got to develop a process when the triggers happened to a desired outcome. So basically all a system is, it's a trigger, a process, and an outcome. So for example, in the warehouse here, our goal is to get products in and out of the warehouse, in and out of the warehouse as quickly as possible with the right quality control, with a number of other processes in the background. But from a one shipment coming into the warehouse, the trigger is it's now inbound. It's actually being received. Okay, so that's our inbound roller shutter door. The trigger, the product has been received. That now has triggered the process. So what is the process? Well, we have a number of stages to the process. We've got our inbound. That's the process of logging in the items, checking the items, making sure that the products are good, adds quantity, the right product, etc. Then we go to shipment creation. That's actually creating the shipment. Then we go to picking, to processing, actually the labeling, the bubble wrapping, the bundling, and then ultimately the quality control. So that is how a product or a shipment, an order comes into the warehouse, goes through our entire warehouse to achieve its outcome. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I like that. And if I use another analogy, let's say, for example, sourcing, because I like to bring it back to Amazon arbitrage, for example. So it might be the trigger is we're going to, today we want to find profitable products, and the trigger is we're going to do it storefront stalking. We'll come back to that, and then we do this action, and the outcome is to find as many deals as possible that meet X criteria. And then I'm guessing that the process is we set ourselves up to achieve that result as best as possible. And then I'm guessing whether it be for you in the warehouse with an item's arrived and get it out, or me and my business whereby we're trying to find profitable products, we're always looking at the outcome, the result, and we're trying to refine the process to get better and better at the result as much as you can. Would that be correct?
Yeah, so there's different triggers that you might have. So I gave the example of an order arriving at the warehouse, but you can have like daily tasks. You could have weekly tasks. You could have monthly tasks. You could have quarterly tasks. You know, the things that you do on a repetitive basis. So you know, from a sourcing perspective, the team are going to, today, the goal is to supply X amount of leads. So that's happening Monday to Friday, Monday to Sunday, every day, however the frequency is for you. So they know every day they're coming to work, the goal is to achieve that outcome to supply the leads. So that is essentially, but if you think of the business model, it's got many different components within the business model. And if you work across your business with that philosophy of like, this is what we do on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, and then you start to think about the processes that you develop, as in like, we open and go to this store, and then you need this amount, this tool, you are going to look at this, and this is your criteria. If the steps are the same, you can then start to refine that over time. That's not really work. So let's take that bit out. Let's try this in here instead. So if you're testing different tools, you know, when I first started, Keeper was free, Camel was still around, and there wasn't tools like we have amazing tools today. You can click a button and it will analyze it will review a product on Amazon. Well, as soon as that came and the innovation was made available, it was like, that's one way that we can actually make our processes more efficient. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I do. And I think it's interesting, like even in my own business, one thing we've done now is like to share is we have a process of reviewing a deal. So literally like a step-by-step guide, like check this, do this, we'll calculate this, what that. And then what we now do is we record it. So we record that process. It takes 2 minutes every time we buy a deal, but we can watch it back. But what's really interesting is I'm watching my purchasing managers do the process, and I'm spotting where they're doing the process wrong. But also in return, what we can do is when we can go forward in 2 months in time, for example, we can see where something failed and go back and watch the process live in action, and to say, what would we do differently in the process to stop that problem? So it's like, again, refining, because the outcome is we want profitable product. I think is really useful.
Exactly. And I'll just give you a very, very simple paper airplane example of this, right? If we had 5 people in a room, let's say me, you, and we had 3 other people, and you had one piece of paper each, and the goal was the outcome. What we want to do is each of you create the best performing paper airplane, right? The way I build my paper airplane might be different to the way you build your airplane. We may have 5 different paper airplanes. Then what you can do is you can go out into the warehouse yard, for example, and each of you throw that paper airplane. One of you or one of us are going to have the better airplane. So then what you can do is that person who's got the best technique, the best process, the system of developing a paper airplane, if they then share how they've built their paper airplane to everybody else, so everybody now builds their paper airplane exactly the same, performance across the team will have improved.
No, I love it. And I do. And again, now you're getting 5 people building great paper airplanes, not just 1 and 4 bad ones.